We are very excited about today's topic, which is keep calm and fundraise on, preparing for every outcome. My name is Madison Koutman. I am the marketing campaign manager for GiveSmart. And joining us today, we are very lucky to have Allie Skaggs, who is a CSM manager here at GiveSmart, and Nicole Barbara, who is an account executive here at GiveSmart. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thanks, Madison. Super excited to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so we anticipate today's call going around 45 to 50 minutes. We will be taking questions throughout, so please throw any and all questions you may have in the Q&A, and we'll address them live if they're relevant to the topic at the moment. Otherwise, we'll save them for the end. We will also be using the chat to share resources with you throughout the call, so keep your eyes out for those. And finally, I wanted to make sure you all know that we are recording this call and we will be sending the full recording out in our follow-up email, so be looking for that in your inboxes later today. With all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. First things first, we want to make sure all of you are well-versed in Zoom webinars and are able to engage with us today. So we are going to start with an icebreaker poll. Pineapple on pizza, is it a crime? So while we get that poll going, Allie, will you tell me a little bit about your position and experience here at GiveSmart?
Absolutely. Thanks, Madison. My name is Allie Skaggs. As mentioned, I am a manager of our customer success manager team here at GiveSmart. Our team's role is to help guide organizations to achieve their goals by providing resources, updates, kind of pointing them in the right direction, and coordinating any services that they may need kind of added on to help steer that journey. Personally, I've worked for the organization for a little over 6 years and had a varying types of roles within that time, from consulting clients in kind of that realm of the services to account management and kind of overseeing our team here today.
Awesome, thank you. And so with that, I will end our poll, and it looks like it was a close call, but the absolutely nots win the day with 3 more votes than the yes. So that's hilarious. I personally love pineapple on pizza, but I know not everyone feels the same. So thank you all for participating. We'll have another more serious and on-topic poll in just a couple minutes. But thank you for exploring your options at the bottom of your screen. Please feel free to explore the resources shared in chat, ask questions using the Q&A. We appreciate your engagement. It keeps us going and keeps us smiling. So let's keep rolling. So we also have a special promotion for new GiveSmart subscribers joining today who are looking to keep calm and fundraise on, which includes a special pricing offer and the ability to delay your first payment until January of 2022. Click the link in the chat to take advantage of this pricing offer between now and October 15th, and a team member will reach out and get things started. Thank you again, everyone, for joining. This is a really great promo. So anyone who is watching today, if you're considering using GiveSmart as your fundraising platform, take advantage of this promotion while it is available. And let's also go over today's agenda. We are going to start with going over sort of the be prepared elements of event fundraising, the preparations, the safety considerations, and the run of show. And what to consider when you're trying to assess everything for all of your events, which seems like a lot, but I think we have some really great tidbits today to help you guys and inspire some options for anything that could come your way in the future. And we'll end with some small, fast, and easy campaign examples so that you can keep fundraising no matter what, with campaigns that you can set up and run that are really easy to accomplish. And then at the end, we will finish with a Q&A with our 2 panelists, and that will conclude today's call. So now for our more serious poll. We want to know what you guys are thinking and what you're looking forward to both toward the end of this year and into next year. So what do your events now and in the near future look like? So I will go ahead and get this poll started. And while everyone is putting in their votes, Nicole, will you talk a little bit about what you've been hearing from organizations recently?
Sure, happy to. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name's Nicole. I'm a senior account executive here at GiveSmart. I've been here for about 10 years, so I'm totally aging myself. And I'm actually a former customer as well. So I used GiveSmart about 10 years ago when I sat in the shoes of like you all are, doing fundraising. And most of I have the honor and the privilege to talk to nonprofits who are looking to use GiveSmart for the first time. And many of them are coming to me and asking, hey, Nicole, like, what are you seeing? And a lot of organizations are keeping their events. They find that their guests and supporters want to be back in person. They want to be engaging with others and raising money and helping you support your mission. But they're doing it with caution. They're putting in safety parameters, whether they're having people, if you are vaccinated or if you have a negative COVID test. But they love the idea that using GiveSmart, it's not like it's like cookie cutter, like this is only in person. You've got the ability to be able to be hybrid if you need to, and provide those who might not be able to attend in person the opportunity to engage with you while you're in the safety and comfort of your home. So we're glad to hear that our nonprofit partners really want to get back into having events, but also having the tools that we provide to our customers. So no matter how they want to fundraise, I say you can fundraise how, when, and where you want. So I'm excited to see the poll.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and end it and share our results with everyone. So looks like with the most answers, we have trying hybrid, which is really, really great. That's what we want to hear. And a good majority doing in person, and coming in third place, 100% virtual. So really good, sort of mixed pot on this. Nicole, do you have any takeaways from this based on what you've heard?
That makes me super happy to hear. And that's exactly what I was feeling, like people, that hybrid where, yes, we're going to be able to be in person. But for those of us that we love and we understand that you might not be comfortable being with us in person for whatever reason, you're still engaged with us by using GiveSmart. We've got a really cool presentation platform that allows you, it's the best of both worlds. So I'm super excited to hear that you guys are out there and fundraising, because your supporters and donors want to be connected with you. So that's awesome. So keep doing that. Keep moving forward.
Awesome. Great. Yeah. And with that, we will go ahead and get started into the main portion of today's topic, which is preparing for anything. After last year, we've all learned a lot. We want to share some of these insights as well as some more resources and examples, so all of you feel enabled to make the best decisions for your organization. So the first thing we're going to jump into is preparations for an event. And Allie, I will pass this one off to you.
Great. So as you're kind of thinking about your event and preparing for that, one of the first things is, of course, deciding which format to go, right? And we kind of had a mix group here, people who are doing in-person, who are doing hybrid, just virtual. And if you're kind of unsure of where to go with that, one thing that we always suggest is know your audience, really reach out to them, kind of survey those supporters, who are those kind of people who purchase tables every year, kind of take their thoughts and advice into consideration to decide what may be best for your event this year. As you're kind of moving on to the planning stages, doing this early and often and kind of mapping everything out is really going to save a lot of headache down the line. Taking a look at what fundraising elements, how many attendees are you expecting? How many volunteers would you need to kind of fulfill each of those areas of the event? From there, you can kind of manage, how are we going to get those trained, right? We have tons of resources within the platform that organizations can utilize and check out free of cost, right? And then additionally, we also have some great services that are geared specifically towards preparing your admin as well as your volunteers to be able to operate that event super successfully the night of. Another kind of factor of that is, of course, the venue, right? What does that look like? Whether it's, putting a live stream or hybrid portion into that, taking that outdoors to maybe make a more comfortable environment for some of your attendees, and kind of having all those things mapped out and planned well ahead of time so that you can pivot and shift should you need to be able to do so. Really, no matter what format you end up choosing, planning for that virtual component from the start can absolutely save you and is a great backup to have. Not only are you broadening the audience that can participate and be involved, right? Whether people are more comfortable doing that at this time, or if you truly need to shift and maybe cancel that on-site event. Having that kind of prepared as you're preparing can definitely save you. And the platform makes it super easy to go ahead and totally shift over to that virtual component with all of your fundraising elements, should that come arise.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all really great points. And, it's always important to consider like power outages, or if your auctioneer is sick, like what are your backup plans? What do you need to plan at the very beginning to make sure that, you have different versions of your checklist in case something happens. So those are all really important points that you made. And going into our next slide, which is all very relevant to the time that we're all living through, safety considerations. Whether you're doing in person or hybrid, it's important to consider how your volunteers are feeling. So Nicole, I will pass this one off to you.
Yeah, thanks, Madison. So we all know the number one rule in real estate is what? Location, 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 right? But I'm thinking the number one rule when it comes to events is communication, communication, communication. Communicating with your donors and supporters to really understand where they are in terms of their expectations, communicating with them through our platform, through our email capability and text messaging, sending them updates, communicating with them on what type of events you're going to be having throughout the year, using the platform to send them messaging from emails to text messaging, letting them know what steps you're taking this year to keep them safe. A lot of the nonprofit partners I'm talking with are coming to me saying, hey, Nicole, we'd like to have a contactless check-in. Can you help us with that? And, it's so great to be able to share examples and resources because, here at GiveSmart, we run, thousands of events each year. And so we're seeing really what a lot of the different organizations are doing and how they're handling their events. So some organizations, by using the platform to streamline everything from ticketing, from that check-in, that you're really limiting the amount of time that your donors and supporters are maybe standing in line to check in. They're doing away with that because GiveSmart gives them the tools to do all that, from having, registering, making sure they're registered for the fundraising side of the event. Even if you're not having a silent auction, you might be having just a text to give or a fund the need component. You might be doing raffles and games, but having people already checked in, having their table number already assigned, having them not having to pass back and forth a credit card to a volunteer. Really, those are the things that you want to be able to be thinking about and communicating that to your guests to let them know, hey, you know what, we know safety and is the most number one thing on your mind and is on our mind too. And these are the steps we're going to take to make sure that we're all going to be safe, but also have a wonderful experience at night. And really, when it comes down to it, continue to be able to help us fundraise for the mission that so many of your donors and supporters are so passionate about. So communication, email and text messaging, very, very important. Forms, using that campaign page to really ask those questions that needed you might need to ask with the COVID protocol. So some organizations have to ask, have you been vaccinated? Yes or no? Have you had a negative COVID test? Maybe filling out that form ahead of time. So coming into the event, you already know what steps your donors have taken to make sure that they're safe and healthy. But really setting clear expectations with your guests that yes, we can't wait till we're 100% back in the room, but should you not be vaccinated or should you not have a negative COVID test, we've got this wonderful hybrid experience where you can join from home and maybe invite some friends and family over from people who have never attended one of our events before and ask them to come over, and you can host a virtual viewing party. And that makes it kind of fun and engaging for those guests who aren't in the room. So just communicating, giving them options as well. So those are some great things. Using your tables for, the way that you're checking guests in to maybe have things available like signs and wipes and hand sanitizers. I love the idea of maybe having some masks that if everybody's wearing a mask in the room that night, that a mask goes along with a theme. So one of the examples is, Bark at the Moon, and you can see some things that they did to take some precautions when it comes to, setting expectations. So the Humane Society of Utah, they did a really great example. It was super fun. I love the theme where they gave dog rules, human rules. So just lots of different ways to communicate to your supporters and really setting expectations. And I think we're going to send the link in the chat where you can actually see their campaign page. Another organization I mentioned, masks. So the Mountain Lakes Educational Foundation, they pre-sold masks. So it was almost like a fundraiser as well. So everybody bought a mask that had a theme that went along with their event. And it was a great way to raise money. It was a great way to use GiveSmart, your campaign pages as well to manage all of the fundraising, because don't think of fundraising just as a silent auction or live auction or fund the need. Think of other things, and selling masks, t-shirts, and merchandise are just one other way that you can enhance the use of the platform as well. So those were two fun examples that I'm glad that we shared today, because it can kind of get you thinking about different things that you might want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And Allie or Nicole, we did have a question come through. One of our watchers is they're requiring proof of vaccination at their gala. If a guest verifies their vaccine info, is there a way to mark that in GiveSmart so we know we don't need to ask them at check-in at the event? I know
Absolutely.
we have the special field, but I'll let you take that away.
Yeah, absolutely. There are 2 custom fields that you can create. So when a guest does provide you that information ahead of time, upon check-in, when a volunteer or a staff member would pull up that guest name, there's the field that will already show have they provided proof of vaccination or negative COVID test, yes or no, and it would be filled in. So super efficient and really going to help streamline that check-in process.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. And thank you for the questions. Keep them coming. Like I said, we'll continue to throw them in live or save a few for the end. So keep those coming. We love the feedback and the questions.
Yeah, I love these questions are great. It's so fun to read these. I know.
I love it. And moving forward into our next step, which is kind of the run of show. So Allie, I will let you take this one away.
Perfect. So, one of the most important things when you're kind of taking a look at what is that backup strategy is to really consider every aspect of your event, right? And a lot of that starts with the ticketing and registration portion. One of the biggest things that I can encourage is to really use that aspect of the GiveSmart platform by going ahead and having people register or purchase tickets directly through the site. You're setting yourself up for success by collecting a lot more donor information prior to, which really kind of ties back to our last points and allows you to efficiently and easily communicate with those attendees and the purchasers should things change, and to provide updates as well. It also makes it quick and easy to kind of streamline that check-in process, right? If you have a majority of the guests already in the platform with a majority of their information, cards on file, that process becomes super quick and easy, right? And that's where we see, kind of this contactless check-in, regardless of if you're using that or not, by really promoting the site early and ahead of time and getting people enticed to go ahead and register. Maybe it's through, opening the auction early or having a raffle sales ahead of time, right? All of that information makes that process a lot easier the night of. Other things like requiring card on file, right? So that people are putting that on file prior to arriving and you don't have the need to kind of input that on the spot. You can also send text messages to encourage users who are registered and don't have a card on file to go ahead and add that to make that process quick and easy the night of. For kind of donations and appeals, right? We have a number of different types to encourage that, whether that's through donate items, the donate form on the homepage, text to donate, right? People can vote, or you can also have instant items that are kind of set prices and are truly a donation that help fund certain items or needs that your organization has. These can be promoted and asked through text messages, as well as people can easily make the contributions through that way. To kind of pair with that and give in the room feel, our revenue displays and donation displays are excellent for that. If you want to kind of show the donor's name and give thanks to those people who have contributed, or show where you're at to that goal that you're looking to fundraise for that evening, these can be great in kind of showing that to your donors and encouraging people to participate even more. From a bidding perspective, of course, the mobile bidding aspect is great because anybody can participate regardless if they're in the room or not. They're not kind of locked to those paper and pen bid sheets. And also, as far as kind of social distancing and those guidelines, being able to place a bid from your table rather than having to go up to the items is certainly helpful. And kind of towards the end of the event, as you're wrapping up, text messages to encourage users who have a balance owed to check out right from their devices, from item pickup and retrieval, right? Regardless of if you're having that on site or there's a pickup later. One of the most important things is to communicate that to donors. We want to make sure once I win the item, what can they expect as far as retrieving that, and clear communication to those winners about those next steps is super helpful. And really going to kind of speed that up and avoid the lines for the checkout and retrieval at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all really, really great examples. And, I think it's just one way of showing how to consider every aspect of an event and, planning out what your options are before the event even starts. So thank you for covering those. And in the chat, you'll see a link to our fundraising success blueprint series. This was a series of webinars we did earlier this year. They are all available for you to watch anytime. And they cover topics like designing your campaigns, ticketing registration, types of recurring giving campaigns, and much, much more. And they're really valuable webinars. So if you want more information on specific topics we mentioned on this slide, those webinars are a great resource for anyone looking for more information. And moving forward, I wanted to quickly touch on a recent resource that we published, and we did a case study on one of our incredible customers, the PACE Center for Girls. They joined GiveSmart in early 2020, like many other organizations did. And since they joined, they've run over 29 campaigns. They've raised over $200,000, and they've seen a 74% increase in just the amount of donors that are registering for their events. They just have incredible examples, some of which we're going to share with you in the chat, as well as the resource that is written and ready for anyone to sort of read and explore. But this is a great example of an organization that they were looking for a platform that could do everything they needed in one place, because they didn't want a bunch of different platforms and technologies doing different things. They wanted everything in one place. And they're one of the most creative organizations in terms of platform feature usage that we've seen. And so we love that we're able to showcase their their campaigns. They've done everything from fashion shows to luncheons, trivia nights, bowling events, breakfasts. And so feel free to click into their campaign examples and into that resource so that you can explore more about their organization and how preparing for different types of events really made them, successful in this past year. So, and they're also a great example of using GiveSmart's unlimited campaign subscription feature, because they can just take an idea, create it, run with it as an event, and see what it does for their organization. So we love seeing that. We love seeing the creativity. And so we wanted to share that example with you. Going forward into the next portion of today's topic, we've covered being prepared, being proactive, how to plan, and but what can you do in the meantime? What if you need to postpone or cancel your big event? We have some ideas and examples to share with you today that are small, fast, easy to put together and run, but they can elevate your fundraising potential. So moving forward into this next section, Nicole, I will pass this one on to you.
Perfect. Great. Thanks so much. So one thing that you really want to do is, use different ways to have different giving opportunities. Get creative. It's funny, for those of you that have a Peloton at home, I always kind of joke and say that GiveSmart's kind of like my Peloton. So, I can cycle, I can do yoga, I can meditate, I can just sit there and look at it and pretend that I should be on it. And as I drink a glass of wine, I know that I'm not on it. But that's kind of what GiveSmart will be for you. It's the ability to fundraise year round, doing multiple different ways. So just like you can work out different ways with the Peloton, with GiveSmart, you can fundraise different ways. So really getting creative and looking at your donors and using data to kind of think about different ways that you can have fundraising capabilities. Use strategies for different ways of giving throughout the year as well. Targeting different demographics. I have 3 boys, 2 are teenagers, 1 is still middle school, but it's amazing to see how the younger generation is becoming so philanthropic and wanting to give back and wanting to get involved in fundraising at a younger age. So think about ways where, like, GiveSmart has our Champions program, and Champions is like a peer-to-peer tool. So using starting to reach out to those younger donors who are going to become, cultivate them and become, lifelong donors, and have them start having the ability to go out and fundraise through social, because, that's how they all communicate. They don't talk anymore. They don't pick up a phone, but they all, certainly do text and use social. So using those demographics for that younger generation to start leveraging social fundraising is really a game changer. And I like to always joke and say, like, it's fundraising while you sleep. It didn't cost you anything. You didn't have to, spend money on an event. So use the Champions tool and target those different types of demographics to go out and have fundraise on your behalf. And then you look like the rock star when you come back to your board meetings. So encouraging using that peer-to-peer. If those of you have a give get on your board, making it easy for your board members to use a Champions campaign and a peer-to-peer campaign, and allowing them to be able to go out and ask for donations from for online giving through a peer-to-peer campaign with friends and family. Really personalizing your messaging. You got to remember, why do your donors and supporters support your organization? You're competing against so many other nonprofits in your area. More importantly, you're also competing against businesses for dollars. So is a donor going to go out and spend new money on a new pair of shoes? Or are they going to want to come and, make a donation to your organization? So really personalizing that messaging to get to the core of why that donor and supporter really wants to support your organization, and make them feel a part of it. So make them feel appreciated. So when you're thanking them and sending out those thank you letters and messages, obviously using the platform to be able to send out thank yous and emails, but really branding them for, a little personal touch goes a long way. So it's just like writing a handwritten thank you letter. Like my kids, when, my parents would send them money for Christmas, I still make them send a handwritten letter. So those little touches go a long way. And I think your donors are going to be able to appreciate that and continue to build that relationship with you. Automatic donations, everything is on auto renewal, right? From your Netflix to your Hulu to, I love auto because maybe I don't want to realize I have to remember to pay the bill, but using those reoccurring giving, because then it's like, oh yeah, I'll do $10 a month, but that $10 a month doesn't seem like a lot. It's like what, one Starbucks order, but $10 a month over a lifetime to you as a nonprofit means a lot. So giving your donors the ability to make that reoccurring giving is an easy step and something they don't have to think about. And then every month it's just like, oh yeah, it's just like my, one other bill. I'd rather give, to my favorite nonprofit than I would to, having another reoccurring charge on my credit card from, a Hulu account. And then change up the way you ask. Use different approaches. Think about what's working. When you use GiveSmart, you can actually put in your Google Analytics account and track that data. So think about things about how your donors are engaging with you and maybe change things up and do a different type of ask. So approach donors and volunteers, differently each time. So it doesn't become stale. And it's one way to continue to make sure you're growing and maximizing the amount of money you're raising and because it's all about increasing that donor retention rate as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are really great points. And I'm glad you brought up the Google Analytics because that's so crucial for tracking your engagement. And it's such an incredible tool to have, especially for a nonprofit. And I also wanted to mention, pictured on this slide, we have a YouTube video that we did with the American Cancer Society North region. They raised over $25,000 through their champions personal networks. And so the video highlights one specific volunteer who expanded his reach and recruited 50 new donors using peer-to-peer. So you'll see that link in the chat to that specific jam session. Take a look at that and gain some inspiration on how you can grow peer-to-peer, because that's a really, really great resource to have. And so I just wanted to highlight that example. And thank you, Nicole, again, because those were really, really great points on being creative with your campaigns. And so leading into the next portion of that topic is leveraging the features that are available to you. So Allie, I will let you take this one away.
Absolutely. So, one of the most important things and unique things about GiveSmart, right, is that within your subscription, you have the ability to utilize the platform for an unlimited number of campaigns. And there's so many different features and ways to do that, especially these kind of small, quick, easy campaigns. We've kind of talked about recurring giving taking place of a GoFundMe or something of that nature, but this is extremely easy. Once a user goes ahead and starts that monthly donation and sets that up, it is automatic and is running until the donor wants to kind of opt out of that, right? All at the same time, while you as an admin are receiving updates as far as when those next transactions are going to be processed, when they have been processed, and when you can expect those funds. Other donate types, right? Simple text to donate. We also really love the kind of smaller, maybe a blitz donation campaign, such as a $5 drive day, where you're really promoting to a target of different donors at a kind of a set amount, right? And this could be paired even with a raffle and things that kind of entice them to really get in there, support the organization, and have a fun chance to maybe win something cool, right? One kind of other aspect would be voting. We see this used a lot and can also be paired with a raffle aspect, right? Think about things like the holidays coming up, especially Halloween, everything from costume contests to pumpkin painting, whether you have, people, kids at the school who are kind of doing that, or you're utilizing parents and volunteers. We've seen things like TikTok challenges to really engage with younger groups as well, to make videos and kind of vote on those. As far as some kind of ticketing components, right? We see many virtual runs and walks, which are super easy because you're kind of setting up that initial campaign and then letting your supporters kind of do the work for you from there, right? By bringing in more money to your organization and participating and registering for those aspects. Very similar, a champions campaign lets them do that work for you and collect, it has the ability for them to build their own fundraising page and make it unique to share with their family, their friends, and kind of donate under their name, right? That's all coming back to your organization. So there's a lot of great functionality within the platform. A lot of creative ideas that we've seen in a lot of different ways to fundraise.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are all really, really great examples. And I love the idea of like a $5 day where you just try to raise $5 from as many people as possible in one day. Like that would be really easy to run and really easy to follow through with. And it's not, the hassle of a gala or a golf event, and it's easy fundraising. And so we really wanted to highlight some of those examples and those features to take advantage of so that you can keep fundraising and you don't have to stop just because you have to postpone or cancel an event. Like you can keep going. And we really, really encourage everyone to keep going because you never know, like, even $100 raised is $100 you didn't have before, and that's huge. So moving forward, I will touch on kind of our last example, which is Olive Crest. They're an incredible organization, and they are a really great example of using GiveSmart's recurring giving feature. So this is something that you can make its own campaign, or you can add to any or all of your campaigns in the platform. They actually have a page specifically on their website for monthly giving, which I've included a screenshot of. And then I also have a screenshot of what that monthly, feature looks like in GiveSmart. So they have at least 30 recurring donations charged monthly, all stemming from one event that they did that focused on recurring giving. And it's a setting that you can turn on, so it's not automatic. You don't have to have it every time, but having a page on your website dedicated to monthly giving can also drive easy fundraising, and just having a campaign or a pot that all of that can go into, using these types of features outside of regular events can just elevate your fundraising even further. And the monthly donations are charged until the donor decides to end the giving. So you'll see a link in the chat to a jam session that they did on recurring giving, as well as a link to their website if you want to check out their giving pages and see and scroll through that monthly giving page. It's really informative, and I thought it was really inspirational, just to show different ways that you can use some of these features. And we did have a question come through. Can we talk about major fundraising or bigger gifts? I know we have some other webinars and some other resources that I can include in our follow-up email on this. Nicole or Allie, do you want to add in a little, like an idea on some major fundraising or bigger gifts that could go along with some of these campaigns?
Yeah, sure. Would love to. I was just looking over the question to kind of see what context we were asking in. So, major fundraising, bigger gifts. Yes, it's about cultivating those relationships. So a lot of that, like, especially for me, when I was in the shoes of doing fundraising and development, it was more about building a relationship with my my donors that gave, larger gifts. But a lot of them, it was something that they started out maybe as just attending an event here or there and became like, we're just like not only a one-time donor, but they gave small. And then it was always our goal to kind of help them become, I always talk about cultivating and growing the relationship with the organization for them to become larger donors and those bigger gifts. So a lot of that is just a lot of that personal interaction to build with that donor as well. Major fundraising events, of course, bigger galas, bigger type events where individuals are raising a lot more money than just these smaller campaigns throughout the year. But the smaller campaigns also help you keep donors engaged year round, and then set them up for that bigger fundraising gala when a majority of your funds are coming in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, those are really great thoughts. And like I said, we have more resources on this topic that I would be happy to include in the follow-up email. So, you can explore some other ideas on larger scale fundraising, maybe larger scale sponsorships and things like that as well. So moving forward, and then we'll jump into our Q&A because we have quite a few questions that we want to get to here at the end. To wrap everything up on the main portion of today's webinar, we have some takeaways. First, never stop fundraising. We know what nonprofits are dealing with right now, trying to decide what to do and in what format. We hear you and we're here to help. And that's what the point of today's topic was. But it's also important to never give up. If this fall isn't the best time for your annual event, maybe try smaller fundraisers. You can do more by doing less. It sometimes seems impossible, but setting up an easy fundraiser that you can let it run and see what it brings in for your organization is an easy way to keep the conversation going about organization, increase awareness about your organization, and it may not be as lucrative as your annual event, but it can still bring in fundraising while you're planning for what your next steps are. We will have a blog next week specifically discussing smaller, easier campaigns. So keep an eye out for that. We will be sharing that with you when it is published. And finally, planning for virtual components to any event from the beginning can be the way to save your event in the event that you need to pivot. So knowing your options, planning for, backup plan B and plan C and plan D, just know you always have options, and know what those options are so that if something happens, you can turn on a dime and save your event. And so that kind of wraps up the main takeaways of today's topic, and we will move into the Q&A next. So with the remainder of our time, I'd like to address any other questions our audience has. As a reminder, we will be sending out a full recording of today's call as well as any resources covered, so be looking for that later. So first question, and I will throw this to Nicole. How do we drive virtual engagement and actually make virtual a fun experience?
That's a great question because I'm a person, as you can probably tell from my personality on this call, I like things to be fun and engaging. And when I was planning events, I always wanted them to have things for people to do, and not just attend like a kind of a boring sit down dinner. So every time I was doing events, I always had like a fun component. I was speaking with a new organization the other day, and we were talking about ideas on ways to make a virtual event fun. And okay, so maybe because I'm married to an actor so music and theater is kind of part of our everyday lives at our house. We discussed having like dueling pianos and like music on the virtual event. So we had the idea that we discussed having the pianos and people use our voting system to vote for what song they wanted to hear up next. And they put a variety of music, right? So people would vote, and whichever song was gaining the most votes, they would play that. And as soon as another song would raise more money, then they would switch to that song. So it would become like fun and engaging, and people like wanted to keep hearing their favorite song, but yet they were engaged because it was virtual. So I thought that was really fun and made me want to go put on an event again.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a really fun example. There are definitely ways to make virtual fun. I also am a previous customer, and I will say one of the best things that we did to make a virtual event fun was we did a scavenger hunt. And all we did was write up a PDF, send it out to all of our attendees, and have them participate with us on social media, so that they could complete the scavenger hunt. And we made it kind of a competition, and it was really fun. So there are definitely ways that you can keep them engaged and make it entertaining, even when staying completely virtual. And so jumping into our next question. So Allie, if you don't mind, we had a question about registrant usernames. So how can, a GiveSmart subscriber use a username and or fix a username of an attendee in an event? As a previous customer, I know that there is a way that you can go in and update a username and a password for a user if they don't remember, and you can help them with the login process. But if you don't mind touching on that, because someone had an issue where an attendee didn't remember their username.
Absolutely. As an admin, like Madison said, you do have the ability to kind of go in and perhaps reset that information for the user. This is a great question for our support team as well, if you ever need help with that, to be able to chat them, and they can certainly assist that user with resetting that information as well. What will kind of happen, upon either uploading a guest list or applying a user to a particular campaign, is that it is registering them, and it is kind of creating that login, either the same as the past or kind of a generic one to start. If a user forgets that, when they go to either sign up, let's say they're unaware that they have registered yet, if they try to register as a new user, once they put in their cell phone number, it will recognize that they're already in the system, and we'll send them a quick PIN with a 4-digit code that they'll put back in. Once they input that code into that screen, it allows them to customize and reset their username and password directly from there. Similarly, if they go and click to log in, right, there is a forgot username and password button there as well, which will prompt them to input their cell phone number and recognize that to send them that PIN and allow them to reset their login directly from there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying that. That's a really important feature. And I remember helping a lot of our registrants with their usernames and passwords, just to make sure that everything goes seamlessly and they're able to log in and bid and pay and everything. So thank you for touching on that. And Nicole, I'll throw our last question to you. We had someone ask if we could talk about how to cover shipping costs for items, like a virtual events, or how to do pickup as an option for a virtual event. So maybe some ideas that you might have for shipping costs and auction item pickups.
Yeah, that's great. So actually I had that happen to me when I used the platform 10 years ago. And honestly, 10 years ago, when people were like, you want us to do what with technology? I'm like, yes, we're going to use mobile bidding for our event. Now today, it's kind of like, what do you mean you're using pen and paper? What do you mean you're not using technology? But so what I did is I created like an instant item that was hidden from the guests. So if somebody was not at the event in person, or if it was a virtual event, and then I had a conversation with that donor and supporter afterwards, where I was able to just add that instant item for shipping to their account, and they would cover the shipping cost as well. So it's super easy, and so don't stress about it. It's something you can just have an instant item hidden from your donors, where you can have the different levels or the different amounts for shipping, and then add that. And the other one was about virtual pickup. Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah. So different things. Some people, obviously the platform is so easy that it streamlines it. So you're able to communicate with your silent auction winners or live auction winners, through certain messaging that's already templated out for you. Like, how easy is that? And you would just be able to even send them strategic messaging to talk about item redemption. So if it's a virtual event, maybe if they're local, they would, come to the organization and pick up. Or if you're not able, if you're not shipping it, and you want to have an on-site pickup. But again, a lot of people with that virtual are doing the shipping. And I've even had some organizations in the past, a local like UPS store, some FedEx store that's like locally owned, would actually volunteer to be able to come over and take the items and package them and ship them for me because they were a supporter of the organization and wanted to help out. So use your resources in town, especially when it comes to shipping, because we're not all Amazon. We can't all do Prime at my door in 2 hours.
Right. Oh, that's so true. And those are really great ideas. I know I've also heard of either, scheduling a pickup time so that you don't have everyone coming through the door at once. You can schedule individual windows for item winners to pick up their items, or even having like a drive-through so that, like it's outdoors, they pull up, you hand it through the window and they drive off. I've heard of some organizations doing stuff like that too. So, get creative with what you can do to fundraise for shipping costs and cover those auction items, either shipping or pickups. There are definitely some creative ways to do that. And so I will wrap up with questions today so that we wrap up in a good amount of time. But any questions we didn't go through, I will try to include some resources in the follow-up email so that you have some follow-up resources on any questions we didn't touch on. And again, thank you everyone today for communicating via the chat and the Q&A. We love being engaged with you during these webinars, so we appreciate all of your input. As a reminder, we do have the exclusive webinar promo offer. So if you're interested in GiveSmart and you just want to have a demo of the platform, you want to see what it can do for your organization and your event ideas, let us know. And if you sign on by October 15th, you won't have to, or we'll delay your first payment until January of 2022, which is a really, really great opportunity to take advantage of. And there will also be a survey at the end of today's call. So we will appreciate anyone that fills that out. Let us know what you learned today, what you'd like to know more about. And if you'd like to continue a conversation with a member of our team, because we're always here to help. And last thing, we have registration available for next month's webinar. We are going to be touching on Giving Days and Giving Tuesday and how to stand out in the crowd on Giving Days. So we're going to link in chat to register for that because it's going to be a really, really great webinar. We're very excited about it. And we will also have a customer exclusive webinar this Thursday. If you're a customer watching this, check your inboxes for an email sent yesterday so you have the link to register. But if you haven't gotten that email and you would like to register, contact your customer success manager for more information. If you're not yet a GiveSmart customer, this is a great example into the resources we provide to our customers to ensure their success using our platform for all of their fundraising campaigns. And with that, that's a wrap. Allie and Nicole, thank you so much for joining and for sharing your expertise with our audience today. I know I learned a lot, so I hope everyone else did as well. We will see everyone next month.
Thanks, Madison. This was fun.
Thank you.